We are back with some more War of the Worlds news, and there's a lot to cover in this video, so I'm going to try and reel through it as quickly as I can. Before we start, pretty much all of this content came from a recent stream by Voidboi where he did a live Q&A with Raph, and we got to find out a lot of really interesting stuff in regards to what's coming soon. Also, I just wanted to mention, if you haven't already, you really should check out Voidboi's channel. He makes a lot of really high quality content, he's very entertaining, and damn, his mustache is majestic. If you aren't subbed, you're missing out, so be sure to give him a sub if you haven't already. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was discussed on his stream, so I'll make sure to leave a link in the description to his channel if you want to check out the stream for yourself. Kicking things off then, one of the things I wanted to mention is an upcoming feature that I know a lot of you have been asking about, and that was if you'll be able to customize your character, which until now Raph has said that you won't be able to customize your character, but he seems to have gone back on that decision, as in Void's Q&A, Raph has said soon that he will see a showcase of clothing customization, so we'll be able to at least partially change our characters, which when playing in single player won't really matter much, as it'll be first person only when playing as a human, that is. But when it comes to multiplayer, it will make an identifying your mates a little bit easier, which is always a good thing, as I can imagine the last thing you want to do whilst you're being chased by a tripod is figure out where all your buddies are in the massive crowd. Next up is another thing you guys mentioned in the comments before, is that NPCs will now give you information. Like an example that Raph gave was an NPC will say something like, oh, in this area I heard there's a ferry that will take you to a bunker where you'll be safe, and then you can head to that area. That's a really good idea, and I think that will tie in quite nicely to the idea that I suggested in a previous video about how NPCs should head towards an evacuation site, as it gives both the NPCs and the player a direction to head in instead of just surviving. Now, I'm pretty sure I remember Raph mentioning in the Q&A that he was going to implement that idea, so that's another feature that I suggested that is going to be added, so that's 2 points to me, boys. So in the more survival aspect of things, wolves are now in the game, I believe, or at least I know Raph will be adding wolves which will hunt down humans, so you've not got just the invaders to deal with, but you've also got Earth's wildlife as well. Now, I don't know for sure if the aliens will attack animals as well, but I do plan on asking Raph this very soon. Also, just a quick plug, on the 5th of September, me and Raph will be doing another live Q&A stream, a bit like Voidboi's, and Raph did say that he might be able to play the game live, so you'll get to see some live gameplay on the latest build, so you really don't want to miss out on that. I haven't got a specific time in mind yet in the day, but it's going to be on Monday the 5th of September, so make sure you send me some questions on what you want me to ask Raph for when it comes to the stream. I've already got a few in mind, but this is a great opportunity for any follow-up questions from Void's stream, because while Raph answered a lot of interesting questions in that stream, I've also now got a ton more questions. Moving on with more survival stuff, horses are now also added into the game, so that's a third method of transportation, as we have cars, bikes, and now horses. So I am really looking forward to seeing some gameplay of this. Perhaps you can find them on a farm or something and you can roleplay being a country boy. Yeehaw. Now, an interesting feature which I've known about for some time, but we've now got a bit more information on, is if you decide to neglect your fatigue bar and you end up falling asleep out in the wilderness, there's a chance that a random event might happen in your sleep. So you might wake up and there's a probe right next to you, or there's some aliens standing above you, and you have to either fight your way out if you're lucky enough not to be killed immediately, or you may end up being caught. Personally, I think it would be bloody hilarious if you fell asleep in like the middle of a field and then woke up in a harvester cage. It'd be like when Richard Hammond woke up in that dune buggy being towed by a helicopter in the Grand Tour.
What the f*** is this? You bastards!
Now, another quick point I wanted to mention about NPCs is you'll be able to issue basic commands to them, so I'm assuming you can tell them things like follow you or to go away, which can be very useful if you're a slightly sadistic person and want to use them as bait, but I know some of you asked about that, so there you go. Next thing again to do with NPCs is that you'll also, if you have a car, then there's a chance that NPCs will try to steal your vehicle or attack you, so we're kind of emulating that scene in the film where the mob hijacked Ray's car that he oh so politely hijacked at the start of the film. Since we're on the topic of NPCs, another feature that will be very interesting is that hostile NPCs, humans that is, will likely move in groups. So if you're out scavenging and you see a large group of NPCs travelling together, there's a strong chance that they're hostile, so instead of approaching them, you should probably hide or run, because they might not have benevolent intentions. I'll tell you what, I really wasn't expecting there to be so many changes coming from NPCs. Raph really is trying to recreate how humans would react You know, you'll get to see the best of people giving you help and advice, and also the worst of people that want to take the stuff that you have. Okay, so last thing I wanted to talk about is multiplayer. Now, before you get too excited, the multiplayer is way off in terms of development, but Raph did still tease in Void's Q&A that he has begun working on the tripod controller and is approximately 20 to 30% of the way there, which is great because even if the multiplayer isn't implemented for quite some time, there will be a single player mode where you can play as the invaders, so we might get to see some vastly updated tripod gameplay in the somewhat near future. I do keep forgetting that this will be a thing because I'm so fixated on the whole survival horror style of game that's being made that I completely forget you'll be able to switch from being the hunted to the hunters as well. So I'm probably excited to see some gameplay of that down the road. Okay, so that's all the topics for this video that I wanted to cover. I want to again give a big shout out to Voidboi for being an absolute lad and being chill with me, basically talking about all of the information that he carefully extracted from Raph during his Q&A the other day, and just for being a stand-up guy in general. So again, if you haven't checked out his channel, absolutely do that. His videos are really good quality and his content's actually given me a kick up the arse to improve. So if that hasn't convinced you to check him out, I don't really know what will. Also, another channel I quickly want to mention is another lad that's getting into War of the Worlds is Saleno. He's recently started covering the game as well, but he's just getting started with the game, so be sure to check his channel out as well if you have the time. Last quick thing I wanted to mention, if you're living in the UK and you're attending EGX this year in London between the 22nd and 25th of September, I will be there. So if you follow my Instagram, which is uberkits1, you'll be able to know exactly where and when I'll be. So if you're going, you can come and say hi and we can have a chat and talk about War of the Worlds and whatever other stuff comes up. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it as a like, as it will help me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see more content like this, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you tick that little bell icon, you get notified when I post a new video. Special thank you to my awesome members who are continuing to support the channel, and thank you for watching the video right through to the end, and I will see you next time.